Hello everyone, good evening. I actually waited for 5 minutes because I see that not all the members joined. However, the lecture is recorded, as you of course know, so anyone who joined late can audit the recording anytime at his or her convenience. Okay, any questions before opening the materials and continuing our journey with Lean Six Sigma Rebuild? Very good. Just opening the materials and take it from there. So last thing we discussed last lecture was simply the normal distribution and the idea of the empirical rule and blah blah blah, which even forced us to open an extracurricular material to show you the whole central limit, empirical rule and how it's related to control chart, something we'll be discussing in this course. Sorry. Okay. As I said the day before, sigma level, sigma value, or sigma metric, or sigma scale, you name it, but the most widespread term is uh, sigma level. Those are practically numbers from 0 to 6. Theoretically, it could be negative, could be greater than 6, as I have explained previously. And of course, you don't have to recall or to memorize this table. Just tell you how each sigma level from 1 to 6 amount to DPMO, which we also discussed, and how this translate to yield, which we also discussed, accepted divided by the total, and how it's also translated to percent defective. And simply percent defective is 1 minus yield, or 100% minus yield. So those summation will be 100. So you can just think about it as a yield. And as you can see, when we are going from 1 all the way up to 6, we noticed an improvement. So the DPMO will be decreasing until we reach 3.4. Percent defective also is decreasing, and the yield is increasing. Again, don't have to memorize or recall this, just be ready to memorize that Six Sigma level will give you a DPMO of 3.4. Be ready to explain what is DPMO, as I said, and this also amounts to a yield of 99.999666. So this may be the only thing you have to recall or memorize from this slide, specifically the Six Sigma level. So why Six Sigma? Or why we in a need of Six Sigma? Before going even into the materials, and as I have clarified last lecture, when someone asks me, define quality, I smile, yellow smile, because actually quality is not a single thing to define. There is a quality of design, quality of conformance and standards, and the quality of improvement. So let's pick what we are interested in, the third category, quality of improvement, the need for Six Sigma, because the old tools are no longer enough. With my full respect to Pedica and Focus Pedica, those are very basic tools. It will not give you anything solid, just brainstorming, just some beliefs. There's no data, it is not data driven. It usually works for simple problems, But if you have something complex, no, it will not work as it's not supported by data. So it was designed 1940s and 1950s. So maybe it was in this era, maybe it was something. Until now, it's still used for very simple issues. But the world becomes more and more complicated. Humanity started to store data. We have something called computers. Statistics have been scaled. Statistical packages and software appeared in 1970s and 80s. All of this was the main driver behind Six Sigma. So simply speaking, Pedica and Focus Pedica will not solve anything. It will solve only simple problems with my full respect. So this is the main reason behind Six Sigma, how statistics enter the business. Statistics is the only science all over the world that is designated by collecting and analyzing data, whether in academia or in business sector. So Six Sigma concept has been around for more than 50 years. 36 should be updated, but I have been teaching Six Sigma before 2010, and each time I forgot to update this. So more than 50 years. It is not just a fad. And fad, by dictionary, it means something new. We are still trying. Believe me, as an advice from a big brother, always differentiate between what is new to you and what is new to the world. So maybe Six Sigma is new to you, but sorry, it is not new to the world. It's something have been established since 1980s. We are not still waiting for someone or some organization to tell whether it's successful or not. This is bullshit. It's successful for sure. Otherwise, it hasn't been adopted since 80s and 90s till now. So differentiate between what is new to you, what is new to the humanity. So it is not just a fact, something we have to try and say what we believe. Six Sigma, the latest name for a comprehensive set of philosophies, tools, methods, and fundamental concepts. So simply 90% of the power of Six Sigma is statistics. Very straightforward. And all the whole remaining 10%, some tools from TQM, some tools from risk assessment, some tools brainstorming, and so on. So it solely depends on statistics, which, as I said, this is the only academic science related and designated to collecting data and analyzing data. Continues to evolve at all organizational levels from COO, CFO to black belts and green belts. There is no limit for whom should learn Six Sigma. That's why there is levels. So maybe I'm CEO, so I'm just interested in a basic introduction, so I will go for yellow belt. Another guy who is a professional in quality and he wants to build a career in quality and improvement and Six Sigma in particular, so he has to go further steps, green and black belts. And this is something the bills is helping a lot. So if you are at the mid-level management or senior management, or even someone who just wants to take an idea or introduction, go for your build. If you want to have more but not in-depth knowledge, go for green belt. If you decided to specialize, go for black belt. So as you can see, belts or dividing the knowledge into tiers or levels is helping a lot from change management and strategic adoption perspective. Otherwise, it will be very difficult if it's take it or leave it, all or none, as we call it. It's two options. You know everything, and the other option is you know nothing. Six Sigma didn't follow this pattern, which is good. It has shown the most endurance and return on investment of any such a program until now. Six Sigma known for its huge power on quantization and quantification and monetization of improvement. And this is something we'll be seeing in the fine phase when we discuss the project charter. We're not just interested in saying business KPIs improved from X to Y. We're very much interested in quantization or monetization. We convert it to money. That's why companies like Six Sigma and senior managers like Six Sigma top management as well, because it's quantifying everything. As I told you, the day before that anyone still saying that no, actually, Lean and Six Sigma is not suitable for healthcare, for instance, it's just for manufacturing and aviation. This is bullshit from someone, I believe, all of his or her information just reading an article on Google or something. So let's go back in time to understand when Lean Six Sigma specifically entered healthcare, for instance. To go chronologically, I will start with this one. Institute of Medicine US, very famous. I don't have to, I think, familiarize you with what is Institute of Medicine. In 1999, in its annual report, said that medical errors kill between 44,000 to 98,000 American citizens per year. These medical errors kill more people per year than breast cancer, AIDS, motor vehicle accidents all together, summed. 13.6% of 30,000 medical records adverse event led to death. Americans were shocked because in healthcare, it's calling healthcare. Huh? So you shouldn't be have these numbers. This is very shocking. 3 years after, international survey supported by the Commonwealth Fund in 2007 said that 1 in 3, it's one third, of US respondents reported experiencing medical mistakes, medical errors, inaccurate or delayed lab results. People are talking. Patients. The highest rate of any of 6 countries in survey again was shocking to the Americans because they topped the list. US 32, Canada 28, Australia 26, New Zealand 22, Germany 16, which I pay a lot of respect, UK through NIS 24, which also I pay a lot of respect in terms of healthcare, Canada for sure until now. And as you can see, in each round of American elections, you can see that the nominees are promising the American people will make healthcare like Canada, will make pensions like Canada. So Canada also one of the very powerful countries in terms of healthcare system. Most patients, 61 to 83 in each of those 6 countries, said that healthcare providers did not, big fat not, tell them about the errors. All of this was shocking, not only to the Americans, but all 6 countries, as you can see. So they stopped here and saying this is not accepted because it's against the notion of healthcare itself. They look around. What are the most powerful methodology that will decrease errors and decrease mistakes and improve service level and improve? For sure it was, and still Six Sigma. And from here, Six Sigma adopted into healthcare industry. All other industries have been adopted since mid of 19s, even, including call center, banking, insurance, financial, and manufacturing for sure, and so on. So nothing new here. We are not telling you something that is still under trial and error. This something have been very well established in all industries, service and manufacturing since more than 25 years. Not focus a lot on healthcare because, as I understood, you are not all healthcare professionals. So, what is benefits from Six Sigma? We have two axes: benefits for hospitals, benefits to individuals. To hospitals and to organizations in general, they translate to fewer errors, lower, better processes in terms of meeting its targets, increased patient satisfaction and care. All of these are linked, by the way. Increased also healthcare provider satisfaction because at the end they are internal customers. We didn't say last lecture that we are targeting external customers only. No, we are targeting also internal customers, which is simply employees, engineers, physicians, whatever. And for sure, it reduces cost and cost saving. And benefits to individuals include, but not limited to, structured problem-solving methodologies. Individuals learn how to frame business problems, how to apply statistical analysis tools to problem solving. Believe me, Pedican, focus Pedican brainstorming will still not solve everything. Otherwise, there is no need for mathematics and statistics, and we could invade the space using Pedican and the brainstorming. This is bullshit. Team management and leadership skills as well. And finally, Six Sigma certification. Being certified in Six Sigma and putting this in your CV, in your LinkedIn profile, this has a weight in the market till now. So what are the main key players in Lean and Six Sigma, and specifically Six Sigma? Key players are first, champion. When you adopt something new into an organization, from your experience, people will say hello and will be very friendly and excited to this new thing, or they will resist what is new. You tell me from your experience.
Resist.
Resist for sure.
Mm.
And this is human. It is not related to Egyptian or Italian or Saudi Arabian or Tunisian. It's human. Mm. Humans have some fears from something they didn't try before. Mm. And even the American have a very lovely quotation saying, "The better the devil you know, the better the devil you know," which is very similar to Arabic quotes as well. So, from a change management perspective, change management, I'm not talking about Six Sigma. Change management perspective, whenever you want to adopt something new, even if it's completely away from quality. For instance, we have been doing X manually, now we will automate it. uh, so those who were used to do it manually will be happy with automation? No. So the reality is, whenever you have something new, like Six Sigma adoption in this case, you have two teams or maybe three teams. Some people have an idea, so they'll be excited. Others are resistance, and others are, they are watching. They are trying to assessing whether it will be good or not. All of this, and again, from a change management perspective, will force you to appoint someone called champion. Champion is one of the top management. Why? To have authority. And this is basic rules in change management. Champion should be from the top management. Why? For authority. Because usually companies starting with using soft skills, trainings, workshops, blah, blah, blah. But some people are resisting not because they are not convinced that this is for their good, but because they will lose some authority. When I was doing this manually, I have authority. Now you will automate it using Zapier or N8N or Microsoft, even Excel, Mac, whatever. So I lose my authority. Do you think I will agree easily? No, I will resist with my full power. Hence, sometimes we need to use authority. Hmm? We need to communicate a very important message. This is the willing of the top management, take it or leave it. Whether you will be with us, you are inside the wheel, or otherwise you have to quit. Sometimes management will be forced to use their authority because those who are resistant are making a huge troubles and they are blocking the change. So all of these resistance and the blockages we may face while we are adopting something like Six Sigma or Lean Six Sigma need a champion. And also, not only he or she should be from the top management, also it should be someone popular. Don't bring me someone who is very hated from everyone, make it a champion. No, he or she should be very popular to some extent. For sure, there is no 100% agreement on anything all over the world, but to some extent, he or she should be popular. Also, he or she should have a huge amount of soft skills because this will be the main job description for him or for her to manage resistance, to manage some people who are against the adoption, and so on. Once you have a champion in place, so you begin preparing your audience or your employees, all levels from high level to mid level to workflow or the main workforce through trainings and workshops. A training you are right now taking, somebody will use it sometimes as an introduction or as a facilitation to get people more and more familiar with what is Six Sigma or what is Lean Six Sigma. Then you have to select a cross-functional team, and cross-functional team in Six Sigma divided into two teams. The first team, which is a technical team, those who are yellow belt certified, green belt certified, black belt certified, master black belt if available, and the other is variable, not fixed. It depends on the project scope. So today my scope is in the R&D department, so I need maybe a couple of people to be my process experts or SMEs. Tomorrow my project will be in the production department, so also I need the same. Next week I have a project in the outpatient or the pharmacy and so on. So the technical team, the builds are fixed, while the variable part is the process experts or the SMEs. Because Six Sigma team alone don't have enough domain knowledge in everything, even inside the same organization. So let's say we are a bank and we have a green belt who have a banking background. He was stellar. Perfect. But the project is not with stellar. It's with the actuary department. So does he know a lot about actuary? Actually, no, he doesn't. And so on. So the Six Sigma builds intuitively, not necessarily have a domain knowledge in everything. No one knows everything. So we need process experts. They both complement each other's. This is how Six Sigma is done. After we have a team, we need to have some projects to start on. So we began to develop quantifiable goals. And this is something we will be discussing in details after a few minutes. How can we choose a Six Sigma project, or how can we prioritize our Six Sigma projects? But initially, you have to have a list of some goals. Then, when develop an implementation plan through training programs, how data will be collected, and other things that we'll be discussing in the measure phase. And we are coordinating our roadmap or setting a milestones to make sure that we are right on track, like any other program, just some sort of project management here. Now we will pick each one of those belts, the champion, the yellow belt, the green belt, the black belt, the master black belt, and we'll give you a brief about each one in details. So as I said, champions, and as you can see, this is for plural because maybe initially you need one champion. But once your organization becomes more and more mature and the number of projects is by hundreds, one champion is not enough. So you need to have more than one champion. So they come from the management, they are mentors, they are sponsors. They believe in the need for a change, they create the vision, the strategy, and they provide resources, including authority, which will take it to the next point. Authorize, legitimize, and own the change. This is alone is sufficient for decreasing the resistance by more than 90%. They are trained in Six Sigma to a very small extent, not like yellow and green and black. They have a training of 3 days called Lean Six Sigma Champion Training. We give them an idea, general idea about the make, what is Lean, what is Six Sigma, much similar to what I have said to you last lecture. Then we focus on soft skills, presentation skills, when to be aggressive, when to be assertive, when to speak, when to listen. Uh, some risk assessment tools, some prioritization tools, some decision-making tools, uh, presentation skills, negotiation skills, how to be win-win. It's more of soft skills because this is what any person needs if he gonna to deal with this type of jobs, which is handling resistance. They demonstrate visible top-down commitment to Six Sigma, and as we said, they will establish a Six Sigma leadership team. And then the cross-functional team will be completed as we go project by project because SMEs will vary between project to a project. Green belts. Usually, one will tell me you skipped yellow belt for sure because yellow belt is your course. So you don't need a brief. You will have a full idea about who is yellow belt by the end of the training. Green belts, they support larger black belts projects. They learn more statistics than yellow belts, as I said last lecture. They lead smaller scope projects. They are part-time practitioners, which means they don't have to be fully dedicated towards Six Sigma. Maybe I'm a production engineer, but whenever there is a Lean Six Sigma project in production department, I will participate. Maybe I'm a dentist, but I'm a green belt. So whenever we have a project in dentistry clinic, I will participate. This is what is meant by part-time. Unlike black belt, who are full-time, as we will see. Tend to be functionally specific, as I said, they work projects inside their functions. We see them as a potential future black belts if they wish, and for sure they assist with the culture change. The green belts for sure need to understand the basic of Six Sigma. They use statistical tools for continuous improvement, and they must understand also the lean practices. And we can say that the amount of statistics in green belt is something between 70 to 80%. Black belts, on the other side, are responsible for leading, executing, and completing the make projects. They are the cornerstone of the implementation. They teach team members Six Sigma methodology and tools. They assist in identifying project opportunities and defining project details and the scope. They report the progress to the champions. They transfer knowledge to other black belts because maybe you are a black belt and I'm a black belt, by the way, but I am a black belt with 5 years of experience. But you are a black belt to just get certified, just pass the exam. So no practical experience. So I have to transfer knowledge to you. We help each other. And for sure, black belts mentor green belts while green belts mentor yellow belts. And the amount of statistics in black belt course is almost 200% in 1%. So it's a huge amount of statistics. So people who love statistics and mathematics usually will fall in love with black belt. And finally, we have the master black belts. Master black belts by default is a consultant because you should be a black belt certified with 3 years of experience with at least 10 projects in multidisciplinary fields, which will not be attained from anywhere else except consulting. Also, they learn. So they learn. There is a course called Master Black Belt. They learn and they sit for exam and then become certified. So in any organization, if we are adopting Six Sigma in a correct way, you need to have at least one black belt, but you don't have to have a master black belt. Some multinational companies have one master black belt, some companies have more than one, some companies have no one, because it's a consulting role. They are experts and trainers. They work cross-functional, multi-faceted projects. They provide Six Sigma technical leadership and statistical training, and they mentor and guide the black belts. Those are, in the analogy we mentioned, like the postdoctoral film. This is the highest level of technical knowledge. Then we can summarize all of this in this lovely pyramid graph. And the usage of pyramid graph here is not being chosen randomly. So the yellow belts are the base. Never ever to underestimate yellow belt. Never ever to underestimate yellow belt. And these are the base, which means if you don't have a yellow belt people, you can't even go further. And the base, as you can see in any pyramid, reflects that I should have a lot of yellow belts, hmm, because I need to spread the knowledge of Lean Six Sigma. The green belt, next step, the number should be a little bit lower, black belt lower and lower, and master black belt, as I said, it could be one, could be more, could be none. So yellow belt will create Lean Six Sigma awareness, while green belts will create focus on tool usage, they make and lean principle application. Black belts are the full-time project leaders. They are the cornerstone of implementation. And the master black belt are consulting in nature. So again and again, companies like Orange, like in telecommunications in Egypt, for instance, they have three master black belts. Mondelez, on the other hand, have only one, and so on. There is a lot of multinational companies which is very believing in Six Sigma. However, they don't have a master black belt. So it's a matter of point of view whether I want to recruit a consultant on full-time basis in my organization, or I will just use him or her whenever I need. So again, MBB is consulting role by nature. I will stop here, and if you have any comment, question, concern, please let me know. Very good. So let's give you some examples about Six Sigma deployment. Quotation. There is not the program of the month. This will be forever. Who said this? Jack Welch, the former CEO of General Electric. Maybe you didn't hear about Jack Welch, but I believe whatever your industry, your job, of course you heard about GE, General Electric. It's a giant. It's very difficult for someone not to hear about GE or General Electric. Jack Welch was the CEO in General Electric since the beginning of 90s until I believe 2008 or 2009. He quoted saying this because the era of 80s and 90s was full of a lot of programs, a lot of initiatives that may live, may die. So he said, no, it's not the program of the month. This will be forever. And this is very true because simply it relies on statistics. Statistics is not a program, not a certificate, not a diploma. This is a tough academic science. People will never stop studying statistics. The opposite is correct. Hmm. Using research, we are adding to statistics. So for sure, Six Sigma will never die because it relies on a very powerful science, which is statistics. Six Sigma involves all the people in the organization. We don't have right to restrict the knowledge of Six Sigma to someone or group of people. No. Hmm? Whoever wants to learn, he or she learns through their belt. Six Sigma is a culture. In order to deploy it, you must breathe Six Sigma. Understand that this is something should be part of your strategy to obtain its full strength and full power and full benefits. Given this, or being said, how can I guarantee my success in deployment? What are the elements of successful deployment? How to guarantee success? First of all, and very important, support and participation from top management. Frankly speaking, if you don't have a full support and buy-in from the management, you are wasting your time. You can still apply Six Sigma, you as an employee, on some small scope, but this is not a strategic implementation, which is fine. We are not saying to you, don't apply Lean Six Sigma unless you have a full adoption. No, we are just telling you how correctly it should. So maybe I am, for instance, a leader in a call center. My call center do not adopt Lean Six Sigma deployment from a strategic level, but I'm interested in it. I got certified as a green belt, and I'm doing some projects given my current scope on a small scope. It's fine. But in order to adopt it for strategic perspective, you have to have support and buy-in from the top management. And this will take us to the second point, sufficient resources allocation to improve teams. Lean Six Sigma adoption need resources, need trainings, workshops, certifications, and so on. And one of the most important element is the data-driven decision making. So the paradigm of thinking of I'm a manager, so I know better than you, I'm old, you are new, this is bullshit. From both statistical, Six Sigma, operational level. So data talks. It is not about you or me. You are old, I'm new, you are manager, I'm subordinate. This is bullshit. Data talks. So data-driven decision making. You have a belief, we can take it into consideration, but it is not final. Data will validate what you are saying. Statistics will validate what you are saying. But just we took the decision because you are a manager or you are old here. No one all over the world is working like this right now. Measurement and feedback of key process characteristics. Everything is measured. And as I said last lecture, Einstein quoted saying, what you can't measure, you can't improve. So we measure everything in the beginning, the current state, and after improvement, took feedback. So we are validating everything through data. Before the project, the TAT time was 1 hour. After the project, it's 40 minutes. Thank you. Boom, you did something. I will again stop here, waiting for your questions, if any. Very good. What about project selection? Because maybe 30 minutes ago you said that we need to have a list of projects and to select a project and prioritize project. How can we do this? So first of all, projects are linked to the strategic plan, which means linked to the KPIs. And that's why I'm very stressing since last lecture to link everything in Six Sigma with business KPIs. So very, very simply, hmm, I have a KPI called X, and I have a target called Y. X is not conforming to Y. This is Six Sigma. There is a reason for that. Statistics through Six Sigma will give you the root cause, and then you can solve this root cause. Very simple, without any complications. And NASA said NASA did 10 Six Sigma, Six Sigma 3.4. It's difficult. Aviation, production, this is bullshit. It's very simple. Do you have all of your KPIs achieving its targets? This is impossible. Whatever the country, whatever the industry, whatever the department. We all have challenges in some KPIs that doesn't meet its target. Here comes into the play Six Sigma. Thank you. End of text. Forget any thing you have here about regarding to Six Sigma and 3.4 DPMO and it's difficult and blah, 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 blah. This is usually said by someone who never studied Lean Six Sigma. So projects prioritized based on a value to the business, resources required, and timing. Because we have here two scenarios. In this stage, the Six Sigma team leader, which is a black belt usually, will sit with the top management and understand what I just said. Give me your KPIs that are not achieving its target. Very simple question and very simple answer. Maybe two scenarios here. Maybe we have only one KPI, or we have some KPIs, but there is some of consensus And this is the most critical one. This means we can choose a project according to KPI which can solve the problem happened. KPI which not achieving its target. KPI itself will not solve a problem. You choose a project simply through a KPI which didn't achieve its target. Because KPI, as you know, is not KPI itself as a key business indicator that's required for solving a problem. So if you mean by solve a problem here, it doesn't mean its target. So yes, pick KPI that doesn't meet its requirements or not. And this is your Six Sigma project. Very simple. Very simple. So sometimes top management will have a consensus that this is the most critical pain. Sometimes no. They will give you five projects, five KPIs not achieving its target. And you need to do some prioritization for them. So if they agreed on a specific project, and this is the most critical one, we have to start with boom, thank you. But what if the second scenario happened? That is, no, we have three to five, and you have to guide us which one we should start off. Here comes into the play what we call it the project selection. So again, projects will be selected with leadership buy-in, which means I will not take those five projects and go to my office doing some magic and give them the most important one. No, should be selected with their presence. Hmm? Projects are formally tracked. In Six Sigma, we don't implement a Six Sigma project and forget it. No, we keep tracking. Team leader and management are held accountable and they should be present in this. So what is this? What do you mean by this tool? So in terms of I have more than one project and I need to prioritize or pick the best one, we are using a tool called project selection matrix, or sometimes it's so-called project prioritization matrix. Both are correct. And actually, this prioritization matrix or selection matrix, something very old in mathematics and statistics, we call it in math weight and rate matrix. So you may find it in a lot of applications and with different names. So for instance, here you know it with the name of project selection or project prioritization matrix. In risk assessment, it's called X. In planning, it's called Y because this is an idea, very old idea in math called weight and rate. And all of these are example or of something bigger called MCDA. We call it like this in decision theory. MDCA, multi-criteria decision analysis. I need to take a decision based on multiple criteria. So what I'm trying to say is, once I explain it, you will get very familiar. Maybe the name is different, the format is different, but the idea, I'm sure most of you have seen this a lot, but with different names. So it's a very useful tool. We use it in order to select the best project to work on it and doing some sort of prioritization as well. Again and again, the management must be present and participate. This is not something I don't make or I don't formalize away from them because I need an input from them, as you will see. It's idea based on sorting the possible projects, listing them, then it choose the best one according to weight and rate, as you will see in a moment. So for instance, this is one shape of the project selection matrices or prioritization matrices, and it varies. We will go for a break. During the break, if you go to Google and write project Six Sigma project selection matrix or project prioritization matrix templates and hit enter, you'll get tons of examples. Maybe they're a little bit different in the format, in the shape, in the color, but however, the main core idea is the same. Hmm? So after the break, we will open an Excel sheet and explain to you what is project selection matrix or project prioritization matrix and how can we implement it to two things. Pick the most important project to start with. Second, to do some order to prioritize. One, two, three, four, and so on. Any questions, comments, concerns? Very good. 20 minutes break, then we will continue. Thank you. Please. Here we go. So as you can see, this is an Excel file, and simply we have to list our projects here. Project 1, Project 2, Project 3, 4, 5, 6. Usually it will not be more than 10. However, it's working for more than 30 projects if you wish. So let's take a simple example that after my meeting with the top management, we ended up with four projects. Project 1, Project 2, Project 3. As I hinted before the break, in mathematics and decision science, this matrix called weight and rate. Weight and rate. And also I said it's one example of a bigger category of tools called MCDA, multi-criteria decision analysis. So question for you. Put yourself in my shoes. You are now sitting with top management to pick the most important project amongst the three. Would you pick based on one single criterion, or you have to choose based on multiple criteria? What do you think? Multiple criteria for sure. I can't pick only one based on one criteria. It should be multiple criteria. And those criteria, uh, it is not something constant or something we have to recall and memorize and repeat in each chapter. No, it depends on the nature of the top management you are setting. So you'll be simply asking them, hmm, which criteria upon which you want to pick. So what I'm giving you here is just an examples. Hmm. So maybe you add to it or remove or change it completely as you like. So it is not constant. It depends. The managers or the top management should pick the criteria based on which they will prioritize their projects. Mm. I may interfere, adding, saying my opinion, but it's up to them. It's their call. And this is something not hard to any top management. And any one of you, whether studied management, is already a manager, sit with top management, this is something readily available and they are talking about it on a daily basis. So they will not find any difficulty in giving you which criteria they will be using because they are using this and thinking about this every single day. So, for instance, maybe the positive impact through the organization. to how extent it's linked to the business KPIs, how chronic is the problem. Maybe the problem is have been there for 1 month, another one lasts for 6 months, another one have been there for 2 years. So the level of chronicity really matters. The size of the project itself. Do we have is a project of manageable size? So do we have the appropriate number of people to manage this or not? Project complexity, whether it's touching a single department or multiple departments, cost for sure, duration. mm, We are much interested in quick wins usually. So as long as the duration is longer, this is not accepted. And so on. Cost, which is expenses, not to waste your time, significance, urgency, resistance, these are not fixed. So, from my experience, whenever you had to think, usually you will find that 4 or 5 out of these you cannot exclude. So, you may add, you may delete as you wish, but usually it overlaps with any project in any organization. However, let's leave it as it is. But just for you to understand that these are not something constant, just an examples. Another question for you. Now we have listed our criteria, which come from the top management. Another question for you. Are these criteria equally likely in terms of weight? Are they important to the management? Hmm? Equally likely? Or in other words, do they have the same weight? Are all they are important in the same weight or by the same way? No. Excellent, Az. No, they differ. Some will have higher weight, some will have moderate weight, and others will have a lower weight. And that's why we have a column here, column C, which is, as you can see, named as weighting for individual criteria. I'm putting a weight for each criteria, where one, less important, five, most important, three, moderately important. So simply, again, I'm taking input from the stakeholders, from the management. So I will go one by one. hmm, and ask them the same question on a scale from 1, 3, 5, give me. So maybe they will give here 5, here 3, here 1, and here 5, and so on. Then another 3, and so on. So again, this is input from them, not from Six Sigma team or Six Sigma team leader. And this concludes the weight. So the weight is related to the criteria, not the project. I didn't ask you to give me a weight for the project. Otherwise, this is nonsense. I'm weighting the criteria itself. Once we understood how we are putting criteria and how we are giving it a weight, now we can jump to the second part of the story, which is rate. So I will stop here or pause here, waiting for your questions, if any. Seem that all good. Perfect. According to their decision strategy. So when I ask you a question of how you evaluate two jobs offer, you have two jobs offer. You tell me I will pick criteria. I will ask you which criteria. You said the location, availability of transportation, the salary, the bonuses, and so on. Then if I ask you to give them weight, are you capable of doing this? I believe yes. The same applies to them. So they have simply linked this with their strategy. Are they most interested in the level of chronicity or the size or the complexity? Simply it's up to them. Exactly at the same question I asked you. It's only you who can give us the weight. Do you give a higher weight for the location or for the salary or the promotion opportunities or the availability of transmission? It's your call. So simply, it's their call. Based on what? Based on their experience and based on their decision of strategy or strategy decisions or strategy pattern. So they are capable of giving you this weight based on all of this. Welcome. Welcome anytime. Then, after we have seen what is weight, let's go to the part of the rate. So now I will pick each of one of those projects and I will take it one by one. So project one first. Then I will link each project with each criteria hmm, based on a scale again from 1 to 5. So for instance, this project, project one, in terms of or regarding the first criteria, the positive impact through organization, give me a number between 1 to 5 that represents this relationship. So if a project has a very, very strong positive, it will be 5. So if something moderate, it will be 3. If it's poor in terms of positive impact through organization, it will be 1. And I will repeat this for each criteria. Again, top management are giving me these input. So maybe they will say hey, 5, then 5 again, then 3, then 3, then 1, whatever. Just give you some random anonymous numbers. Once I'm done with project 1, I will pick project 2 and do the same. Hmm? So I will relate project 2 to each one of those criteria. Hmm? Asking them to give me a number between 1 to 5 with the same system. So maybe you 3, 5, 1, then 1, then 3. The same applies here. 3, 3, 3, 5, 5. Once I'm done with this, here the matrix automatically, let me make it bold and increase the size. Mhm. The matrix automatically will calculate, we call, something in statistics and mathematics, we call the sum product. It's a function available in Excel, but here I didn't use a function to make it easier for you to understand. Sum product. Product in mathematics means multiplication, that you are multiplying things. So we are summing the output of multiplication. So what is happening here? How we got these numbers? Let's pick 61, for instance. How project one finally evaluated as a 61? Hmm? You multiply the weight of each criteria times the rate you give this project against this criteria, plus the same for each row. So it's 5 times 5 plus 3 times 5 plus 1 times 3 plus 5 times 3 plus 3 times 1. This will give you 61. And the function is written here for people who are to some extent expert with Excel. And it's also available as a direct function, some product, but again, we didn't use it here to make it more visual for you. The same applies here, and the same applies here. So those numbers simply represent the core of the matrix, weight and rate. Means you are multiplying weight by rate. You're multiplying for each project, for each criteria, the weight times the rate, plus weight times the rate, all the way down until the last row. This is how the matrix will calculate these numbers. And intuitively, the highest number will be the project of choice. So the highest number here is 67, which means project 3, given all of this criteria and rate, our first choice. And if you want to do some prioritization or ranking, second will come project one, and third will come project two. So I had two things here. I picked the project of a choice and I did some prioritization. Now I understand that I will start with three, then one, then two, boom, voila. This is the beauty of MCDA tools or multi-criteria decision analysis tools. How to take a decision based on a different criteria. Any questions, comments, concerns? Very good. Now let's get back to the materials. This concludes our introduction. We didn't get into the phases yet, or maybe, as I have explained, the last tool, the selection matrix, is already part of the define phase. So you already have a glimpse of what is happening. Six Sigma team leader will have a meetings with the top management or blah, blah, blah. Let's get deeper and deeper in define phase. So once you identify your project, whether it was blatantly obvious, I didn't use the matrix, or I did use the matrix to pick the best project. In both scenarios, you have something to work on. Directly, the first thing you need to implement after picking or choosing your project is another tool called stakeholders analysis or stakeholder analysis. And this is very crucial because, as I said before the break, and from management science perspective, whenever there is a change here, it means new project, Six Sigma project. You will have two teams, or maybe three, which are supporters and the resistance. Some people will support, some people will resist. I need to understand this beforehand. I am not, can't afford the probability of that I'm going into measure, analyze, then improve, someone block the change. I need to understand exactly who with, who is against. So, stakeholder analysis, let's pick the word stakeholders. Who are stakeholders? And please note that the definition here may be a little bit different from the definition you are used to in project management or in quality in general. Because the most spreaded definition for stakeholders outside Six Sigma scope is anyone that can affect and affected by. No, we don't have this definition here. That's correct, but away from Six Sigma. In Six Sigma, stakeholder, anyone who can affect my project. I don't care about affected by. Anyone who can affect my project. No, it will not carry out the process. Who carry out the process as a cross-functional team. Give me one moment. I need to switch the router. I'll get back to you in a I'm back. Just switch it to another router to avoid any problems. So back to Dina's question. No, those people will not carry out the process or the project, if you mean. Project will be carried off by a cross-functional team, which, as we said, two teams. Six Sigma team, yellow, green, black, and the subject matter experts. Stakeholders are neither Six Sigma specialists nor process experts. Those are people who can block the change. So you are going into your project, and when it comes to the improve, in order to, for instance, apply your solution, you need the IT to support you. Hence, the IT will say, no, I'm not convinced. I have other opportunities. I don't have manpower. Hmm? Did the IT participated in the project? No. Is he a Six Sigma specialist built? No. Is he an SME or post expert? No. He is a stakeholder. So back to the definition. Stakeholder. Anyone who can affect your project either positively or negatively. He can facilitate the change or he can block the change. Again, I can't afford this surprise. After defining, measuring, analyzing, improving, the IT is resistant. That's why we are doing a stakeholder analysis. We need to understand and focus on resistant people beforehand from the early beginning to avoid any problems. Is this clear now, Dina? Very good. Most welcome. So stakeholder analysis tool will identify the key stakeholders. First of all, I need to identify them, apply the definition, which is completed by brainstorming to understand who can affect my project, as I said. I need to access potential risk or resistance and help plan a strategy to reduce these gaps. So I can plan beforehand for the resistance of the IT head, but I can't afford him surprising me in the improve phase near the end that he will not be able to help. And again, stakeholders are people who have an interest in the project outcome, whether positive or negative. Or in simpler words, anyone who can affect your project either positively or negatively. And again, I'm emphasizing that stakeholder analysis should be done at the beginning of the project, directly after as usual, it has a template, not Excel, and this time maybe a Word. You can do it in Excel as well, but it's mainly not an Excel sheet, no formulas, no calculations. The core is I'm doing an assessment of each stakeholder opinion in my project and whether he is supportive or resistant or neutral. uh, because some people are neutral. And I will give you an example. The resistant stakeholder will not help you and will not allow you even to enter his or her department to help yourself. So, for instance, let's say that the stakeholder here is, for instance, production manager or lab manager. So you went asking for data, some sample sizes. He said, no, it's confidential. I cannot give it to you. Then you said, okay, let me in for a few days to collect the sample. He will said, no, it's forbidden. This is resistance. Neutral will act as follows. He said, no, I can't give you the data because it's confidential, but it's fine. Stay for whatever you want and collect the data you want. Hmm? However, the supporter here will give you the data immediately. I hope with this analogy, you now understand the difference between resistant stakeholder, neutral stakeholder, and supportive stakeholder. We don't have any problems with supporters and the neutrals, but we do have problem with the resistant. And so we'll be focusing on this. Again, if I went to Google right now and wrote Six Sigma stakeholder analysis template, I will get a tons of templates. Maybe they vary in the shape, the format, the colors, but again and again, the core is the same. So I need to list my stakeholders here. IT specialist, lab manager, and I'm not listing names. I'm listing titles. Take care. I'm not just listing names. I'm listing titles. So once you are done with listing your stakeholders, you have to have a meeting with him. I will not say an interview because it's a little bit irritant to some people. But in order to explain the project and to give the response, I need to do one-to-one meeting with each stakeholder. In this meeting, I'm analyzing the present relationship. So I give him or her an idea about the project, what is the objective, blah, 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 what is the business problem. And then I want to understand from this stakeholder whether he is supportive or against or neutral. In all the cases, I need to document the reason here. So if the stakeholder is supportive, I need to understand why. I'm supportive because the KPI you are trying to improve will affect one of my KPIs positively. Thank you. Hmm? I'm convinced already. Another stakeholder is neutral. He has some concerns. So he may say, for instance, I'm afraid that this will require that my team take a workload higher than expected, higher than scheduled. I'm a little bit afraid about this. But for the main idea, I'm with you. He is neutral. For another one who is resistance, resistant stakeholders hardly say I'm resistant. They will not, or she will not say, no, I'm resistant. He began to make up things. He begins to try to minimize the importance of what you are doing. See, so a lot of soft skills required here. The person in the Lean Six Sigma team who will sit with the stakeholders should be with a very high standard of soft skills. He can read body language. He can lead gestures. He can lead conversation. He can ask questions, when to speak and when to listen. But generally speaking, it will be obvious. He will go around and around without trying to give you an exact answer. So it will be obvious, but he will not say, I'm resistant, unless he is senior manager or director. Yes, he can. In some cases, he can simply say, no, I'm against. So what can I do once I have a resistant stakeholder? I will try to use my soft skills to have a win-win situation. What if I have failed? Don't forget champion. So you withdraw politely, easily, smoothly, and go to your champion, saying, one, two, three. Situation X happened, and need you to interfere in this. The champion will do his magic and he will take it from there. So we try. We try. But what if we failed? Don't forget that there is someone called champion who is exactly have been created to deal with this. Plans to communicate what's its important sometimes, and as may happen in any meeting or interview, once you are out, you are evaluating yourself. So, when he asked about X, I should say Y, but I didn't. Why I didn't give an example of X? I forgot to ask her about something. So that's why some people, some stakeholders, difficult to meet regularly. They are senior managers or directors, so it's an appointment. So that's why before leaving the interview, you have to have contacts. Sometimes, gentlemen, I will give you a card, business card, in which there is a telephone number, mobile number, email, WhatsApp. So you may politely ask him or her which one, which will take us to the next column, primary point of contact. Now, I have a lot of options here. Which one would you prefer? She may say WhatsApp. or email or mobile. It depends. And in other scenarios, no, this will not happen. He or she will not give you any business card. So you have to ask. Hmm? What if, Mr. Madam, Miss, I want to reach you out again to ask a quick question. Can I have your contacts? Then it will give you mobile number or telephone number. Again, if he or she gave you more than communication channel, you have to ask which one do you prefer and write it here in the primary point of contact. So here we list our stakeholders. We get an interview or meeting with each one to understand here whether it's supportive, neutral, or against, why, then the communication channels, and if it's more than one, we have to ask him or her about the best one. Once you are repeating this with each stakeholder, finally you got a stakeholder analysis worksheet completed. And before going any extra mile, you need to make sure that there is no resistant stakeholders and any resistance have been dealt with, whether through you or through the champion. I don't think that the volume is low because I am putting it at the highest level. Maybe you have to increase it at your end, or simply I can ask. So, people, guys, is my voice is poor? Can you hear me correctly? Just to understand, is the problem at my end or at the questions owner end? As long as I received variation in the answers, it seems it's at your end's problem, not my end's problem. Because if my problem, it is not my end, so all of you will have a consensus that the voice is low. So please make sure that you are moving the needle of your volume to the highest, you are wearing earpieces, you are close to mobile or mobile or laptop or whatever. No, my tone is not low. If my tone is low, then Dina, for instance, will not say it's okay. So usually it's the problem is at your end, not my end. Otherwise, I have been receiving tons of messages. We can't hear, we can't hear, we can't hear, we can't hear. So as long as we have one or two just complaining, it means the problem lies at their end. Any questions, comments, concerns about the stakeholder analysis? For sure. It takes time, by the way. انا من ناحيتي معلي الصوت على الاخر والله يا فندم، متاكد ان انت معليه الصوت عندك على الاخر، إن زي ما قلت لو المشكله عندي كان في هيبقى في سيل من الرسائل احنا مش عارفين نسمع، احنا مش سامعين صوتك واطي، لكن طالما في واحد او اتنين بس اللي بيشتكوا بتميز المشكله عندهم هم مش عندنا. اوريدي صوتي عالي اصلا بطبيعتي، ثانيا معلي المايك عندي على الاخر، فميك شور ان انت عندك برضو عامله نفس الموضوع. So it is not easy to do, yes, for sure, and it takes time. That's why very skillful person have to do this, but it's crucial. You can't just cancel or ignore it and move on. Hmm? No, it should be done, must be done, must be done appropriately. Otherwise, there is a high probability that you will stuck in the future. You will be surprised, as the example I mentioned, that the IT head didn't agree to cooperate with you in designing your solution. So we can't allow this to happen. We can't afford this. That's why we are trying to be proactive here. We are planning to the future, or planning for the future, sorry, to minimize the probability of those things. But for sure, it required someone who is very skillful That's why I said the guy that will be doing this should be very skillful. The sheet are for stakeholders only and not include team members. What do you mean by team members? Six Sigma team members, for instance, or what? No, this is for stakeholders only. Anyone who can affect your project either positively or negatively, as we said. So all of this is related to stakeholders only because these people have the power to whether facilitate the change or block the change. As I said previously, Six Sigma is related to customer, and all the methodologies and the approaches under the Six Sigma umbrella, sorry, under the quality umbrella, their ultimate objective is to approach customer satisfaction. So Six Sigma is not an exception here. Six Sigma is related to customer. But please do remember that customer may be internal, may be external. So don't think that the customer is only external. So we must understand the customer requirements well in order to satisfy these demands. I do care about customer, so I need to understand from the customer. So I don't need to guess for him or think on behalf of him or her. That's why in the first tool we studied together today, the prioritization matrix. I didn't sit in my office and I thought instead of the top management. No, I take their inputs on the spot. The same applies to the stakeholders. I didn't sit in the air condition saying that I believe that the nursing manager will be resistant, while I believe that there is no belief, no guessing here. Whether the customer is internal or external, you have to go for him or her directly. Don't guess or don't think on behalf of the customer. So we can use a lot of tools to understand our customer. Emails, surveys, telephone calls, checklists, field visits, questionnaires, meetings, interviews, as we did in stakeholder analysis and in selection matrix. So whatever, regardless, it's internal customer or external customer, please don't think on behalf of the customer. You have to go for the customer directly, taking his or her input. And that's why this will take us to VOC. So VOC stands for Voice of Customer. Customer should be heard. His or her voice must be heard. So the voice of customer is the term used to describe the stated and the unstated needs or requirements of the customer. So here is the thing. It's very good that you are collecting projects based on business KPIs from top management and blah, blah, blah. But we have another source of projects, the customer itself. So our customers, internal or external, has voice. And this may be a source of projects. It should be validated for sure with the business KPIs, but we don't focus only on what we are getting from the top management. We listen directly from our customers. Mm? And this is the objective of the voice of customer, because this question will be asked sooner or later. One of you will ask why you are telling us this, because simply it could be a source of projects. When some people uh, comply from a waiting time or from a specific service level, this is a red alert. Doesn't mean I will take their talks for granted. No, that's why I said I will validate. If business KPI validated that this is correct, so for sure it's a Six Sigma project, we need to understand why they are complaining, or why they are waiting for long, or why they are receiving a low service level, and so on and so forth. And again, the voice of customer can be captured in a variety of ways. Direct discussion, as we did in the matrix and stakeholder analysis, interviews, the same, surveys, focus groups, observation, field reports, complaints box, suggestion box. All of this are methods and tools to collect the voice of the customer. And again, don't forget that the customer may be internal, may be external. This process is all about being proactive and constantly innovative to capture the changing requirements of the customer with time. Because this is not something fixed or static, it's dynamic. Mm. So maybe this week the customers are complaining from X. Next week they may complain from Y. Huh? So it's dynamic, it's changing. The voice of customer is not static, it's not fixed. So I have to use those tools continuously to be aware of what my customers are thinking of and to spot any shift in their thinking process. This will help me to things. First, satisfy them. Second, it could be, as I said, source of Six Sigma projects once validated with the business. No, anyone will just complain, I will go and open a project. No, I didn't say this. I'm stressing. This should be validated with the business first. If it's validated, the other point, good. We can open a Six Sigma project on it. This is the importance of VOC, or simply voice of customer. Our time is off, so thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, I'm all ears. I will pause for 1 minute or more, waiting for your questions, if any. If no questions, I will say goodbye. You are most welcome, Dina. Welcome, Azza. Thank you so much. See you next lecture. Have a nice day. Bye bye.